Hello everyone, Mrhappy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mrhappy Mondays, which some of you have started calling it in the comment section of the video below, like you make the whole thing for the whole thing. That's the whole name now, apparently. Before I get started with the Q&A, this last week has been amazing for me. I got so much work done in preparation of my trip to LA. I'm going to be flying out on Tuesday, so the stream is... I'm not going to have a stream on Tuesday. It's going to feel weird, but it's, I mean, I'm going to be on a plane. What am I going to do about it? I got bumped up to the main cabin, earlier for like a small increase in price. They let me bid on it and I ended up getting it. So, going to have an awesome flight. This last week has just been amazing between getting all these videos done and now they're ready to go for when I'm on my trip. And on top of that, I had just an amazing stream with lots of donations, lots of new subs, over 400 subscribers on Twitch now, over 19,000 followers on Twitch, on top of over 67,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I did a viewer appreciation stream on Friday, gave away 4 Sleipnir mounts, 4 minions, and a set of 5 metallic blue dies. And it was just an amazing stream. It was so much fun. This last week has been an amazing experience for me. I just want to thank everyone, YouTube or Twitch, regardless of which platform, or if you watch me on both. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for supporting the channel, and I will continue to do what I do for you guys. But anyway, I want to get to the questions. We have some from YouTube and a bunch from the Dream Network forums. So I'm going to do an announcement about the Dream Network forums at the end of the video, so be sure to tune in. Regardless, let's get to the questions right now. Alright, first question from YouTube. I'm going to grab the first few from YouTube and then I'm going to switch over to the Dream Network forums. Remember that I do check the forums and the forums are a little bit more orderly for me, so it's easier to see a lot of questions on that. So if you can, make an account over there, ask a question there, and you're much more likely to get me to see it. So the first question for week 35. Do you think the game will allow you to join multiple free companies in the future? Like one from Twin Atom, another one in Maelstrom, another one in Immortal Flames. I've come from Guild Wars 2 where you can join multiple guilds. It allows me to have a guild for each type of game content. PvE, PvP, World vs. World, ERP. And I think having a system like that allows players to further progress in other aspects of the game. Do you think this will happen in 14? Well, it kind of already has. People do link shells for that. Some people strictly raid with one of their link shells as opposed to raiding with a free company. Even within free companies, people have link shells within those members to break them down into their specific interests. Creates clicks a little bit, in my own opinion, but people do that already with link shells. PvP link shells, hunt link shells, you know, primal farming link shells. It's already there. The system's already in place. It's just not the super official free company guild type thing, but it still does its job. There's a quick one right here that says there are EU servers in 14. I'm playing on one. Even the servers listed as EU in the game right now are not actually located in Europe. They are actually located in Canada, but they're just labeled as European servers so that European players can congregate there and they're playing with people within their own time zone. Official European servers are supposed to come out later this year. They were announced at the European Fan Festival last year, so I'm hoping they'll be this year. I mean, one would hope, but there'll be official ones coming soon. And I imagine those labeled European servers will be moved to those data centers at that time, but we need more information on it. Okay, and those were the only 2 questions I could really pull from YouTube. And I'm kind of glad because a lot of people now use the comment section on YouTube to actually discuss the video, whereas the majority of the questions have made their way onto the forum. So that's what I'm going to switch to. I already see that the first question somebody says was answered in the most recent live letter. So I want to thank this person for actually updating and saying, no, never mind. Don't worry about my question. If you had already written it down, it was answered. They went back and edited it. Thank you, man. I appreciate you doing that because it makes the rest of the video easier for me. So, the first question from the Dream Network forums, hey Happy, do you think Square Enix should do a player-based version of some open-world content such as the hunts? For example, have a once-a-day hunt roulette you can do alongside the regular hunts so that people don't happen to be playing at just the right time every day, could have access to content that might be missing? It almost sounds like you're talking about treasure hunts. I mean, I really want them to expand on treasure hunts to make it more challenging content. I mean, if they can have the big hunt monsters that are extremely threatening the small groups out in the open world, why can't treasure hunts also have these larger enemies, these super difficult maps that you can trigger out in the open world, only your party can fight them, and they have unique rewards just like the rest of treasure hunts? I think that they could definitely do that. And looking at the way Final Fantasy XI did it, like the garbage materials you could get from some endgame bosses, and then there'd be like 1 or 2 good drops in there that you would hope for, I don't see how that couldn't succeed in 14, other than people perhaps being not as patient with that kind of system. I don't necessarily think they should just copy 11 and do it like that, but I mean, other games do it too, where you have bosses that don't necessarily only have useful loot. You know, that's really more of an old school RPG thing in general, but all their loot has some sort of purpose, and you can obtain it in higher quantities or higher qualities through these treasure hunts. I would just like to see them elaborate on the treasure hunts in such the way that you're saying, really. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, I watch you a lot and your guides are always helpful. Thanks, man. I'm planning on playing Astrologian when the expansion comes out. Would you recommend I get my Astrologian straight away, level it to 50, and then play the expansion story to 60, or finish the story first and pick the job up after? I main Black Mage, but have recently caught up on my White Mage. Would you recommend taking that over as my main job, gearing it as preparation for Heaven's Word? If you're going to level Astrologian, the job starts at level 30. It's been confirmed just this last weekend that all the new jobs are going to be starting at level 30. So 30 to 50, not that bad. You could do 30 to 50 and then continue the story. If it was 1 to 50, I might recommend you do something else. But 30 to 50, yeah, you could totally do that, man. Just make sure you have as many cross-class skills as you think you'll need. We don't even know if the Astrologian will have access to those things, but just in case they do, try to have the standard cross-class skills that you would want for White Mage Scholar, you know, eye for an eye, in terms of White Mage Virus. And then you have, of course, Swiftcast, Surecast, things like that. Just whatever it is that they have for their cross-class skills, just try to have access to them. Alright, this next question is a little bit longer of a post. I'm just going to read the first part. Hey, Mr. Happy, follow up a question for week 35. You also thanked me for answering your question last week. No problem, man. That's what the show is for. Don't feel bad about it. You don't have to thank me, but I do appreciate the extra thank you. Your first question was, what do you think about the possibility of Geomancer being a tank? I think it would be cool since usually they are the most sturdy of mages. I would like to see a mage tank. I answered a question like this recently as well. Geomancer specifically, I have my own personal opinions about the way that that job should be implemented if at any point they decide to do it. Would I be against the Geomancer tank? No. But I think I'd rather see them... I don't know. I don't think that's the route I would prefer for them. The mages that I kind of see being tanks are more along the lines of like the red mage or the blue mage. You know, they're very versatile. You could sort of understand their ability to cast defensive spells while also generating aggro with their specific and unique abilities. I mean, that's pretty much how any tank works. But I'm not against Geomancer. I'm not against the idea. It's just not my vision for the job. And your second question is, what other jobs would you like to see? And have you given any thought as to how they would play? Just give me my Puppet Master. I love reading questions that give me the opportunity to say, just give me my Puppet Master. Give me a melee-oriented pet job, and I will be A-okay. Even if it's Beastmaster, Puppet Master, Beastmaster, I don't care. I want a melee-oriented pet job. That's what I want. Alright, next set of questions. Hello, Happy. Don't know why I said it like that. We're leaving that in. I am a sort of returning player. I'm subbed, but I only log on to chat and help some free company members out when needed. So I'm behind on my crafting, which is the biggest draw for me. I'm currently sitting on 45 million. Good job, man. But I'm way behind on gear. Do you think it's worth blowing it up to upgrade? No. Don't bother upgrading all your stuff right now. Just sit it out till 3.0. Have around item level 100 to 110. Thumbs up. You're good to go. Don't even worry about it. Number 2, why am I being forced into mule accounts again, Square Enix? Why I had 5 mules and 11 to max out crafts I loved. They're doing it all over again. Oh, so this sounds like... Is this a question regarding... Oh, the specialization. Yeah, there has to be a question regarding the specialization tier. How do you feel about forcing players to pick a craft and being locked into the single one? It's not that you're locked into a single one. It's just that if everyone can do everything on every character, they've finally kind of seen the drawback to it. It's either you do everything to be efficient, because that's how it is with crafting. It's not like you can pick and choose in the first place. If you want to even be good on a single crafter, pretty much all your crafts have to be level 50. That's bad design. If you want to just play one, you should just be able to play that one. You shouldn't be necessarily forced. And that kind of goes for the cross-class system as well, how certain jobs aren't built with the tools that their role is designed for, like warriors not having a built-in tank swap ability, needing the gladiator subclass, whereas gladiator going to paladin has that built in. It's kind of counterintuitive because those are mandatory abilities anyway. You understand what I'm saying? It feigns the option of getting extra stuff when in reality it's all mandatory. It's the same reason why I dislike skill trees, because as much as it makes it look like you have options, you absolutely don't have any. You have to go with what's needed or what's necessary. Maybe you have 1 or 2 options along the way, and that's it. So I think they're realizing that was the problem with everybody trying to be an omni crafter, where they were, they had to level everything to be efficient in one. The specialization tier is more or less... You can switch them whenever you want. You're not forced into it forever once you decide. But It's making it so that because you get extra abilities from being a specialized crafter, it's making it so you don't necessarily need all those other cross-class abilities. You have this extra ability that'll make your crafting easier for that class. So I'm okay with it, because the Omnicrafter thing was making every item in the market pretty much no value because everyone could make it do everything. It ruined the market. I think this will bring the value of more items up, so more people have more options in terms of income. So this question's really long. I'm just going to kind of paraphrase it as best as possible to repost from week 34. So I'm going to read the starter. Question for week 34. Hey, Hap, great vids. Keep it up. Thank you, man. I know it's been brought up before, but I want to take a different approach to it. I know there's a lot of people who want to see a Disciple of Land or Hand dungeon, but it's always been speculated as to how it could work. I think I have an idea of how it could work. It wouldn't be a dungeon per se. The map itself would be about the size of a trial or guild house. The composition would be 2 Disciples of Land, 1 Disciple of Hand, and then 1 Disciple of War or Magic. This sounds already exactly like the way that, what was it called? I've just marked it out of my head. Was it Behest? No, it wasn't Behest. Was it? Hamlets. How did I forget that? It almost sounds like the way Hamlets worked, where you'd have a bunch of crafters and you'd have like 1 or 2 battle people just to protect the NPCs or the crafters and whatnot. I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, like, I see it. I'm reading your idea where, you know, the characters have to bring the materials back to the Disciples of Land, bring materials back to the Disciples of Hand. The Hand craft up items or repair cannons and things like that. In theory, it's good, but crafting is only as fun as crafting is. You know, crafting under pressure, it doesn't seem like it's worth the investment for it. I'm totally for it if they can make it fun and engaging. But a 4-man party can only be so fun. Like, something that only engages 4 people has to be created at a difficulty degree that 4 people can clear it comfortably. And I don't think this would really make people want to do these things anymore. Like, you could put the rare materials in them. There were what words were just coming out? There were rare materials and treasure hunts. No one cared. No one cared. I think your idea is good. I think it's the only sort of interpretation that will ever work in this instance. I don't see it. Like, it's not for me. I guess I just don't understand. So I guess I'm not the right person to ask this question. If they want to do it, sure. If they decide they're going to do it, great. Will I probably ever involve myself with it? Probably not. Alright, so next question. Hi, Happy. Question from week 34. Sorry that I missed it. Hi, Haps. Really enjoy your content creations. Thanks, man. I have another question for you. How do you feel about horizontal progression on gear? You know, you think I played Final Fantasy 11 for so many years? I love horizontal progression. I really don't. Final Fantasy 11's horizontal progression just made me realize how much I don't like spending 5 years doing the same thing every 3 days to try and get one piece of gear because it's horizontal. I want more additional effects on gear. And I do agree, to your point, that on very high-end raid gear, it's probably a lot less harmful than it is on putting it on everything, where it's like, oh, at item level 70, you have 5 different options, and at item level 80, you have 5 different options. As an example, the problem is that no matter how much you try to make it like a super big reward for completing like the hardest content in the game, it will be used as a tool against a lot of players. It happens so much in Final Fantasy 11, where, hey, you don't have this armor that's required for this, you can't do it. You don't have this additional effect that makes this mechanic easy to deal with, we won't take you. I've seen it happen in World of Warcraft. I've seen it happen in Final Fantasy 11. I don't want to see it happen in Final Fantasy 14. I think we need more options. I don't think it needs to be legitimate horizontal, full-blown horizontal progression where we sit at an item level for months and for more than like the 6 months that we already sit at that item level, sit on it for like a year to a year and a half for a whole expansion. I don't want to see that. I want to see vertical progression only because it actually keeps our characters improving. I do need them to be careful about vertical progression. I want them to slow it down a little bit. It doesn't seem like they're going to do that. So I imagine power creep is going to be an issue soon that they're going to have to fix. As long as they take the initiative to fix it, I will be okay with it. For me, gear is a reward. What I really enjoy is the content itself. That's why I don't really care too much about progression on gear as an individual aspect. Next question, a bit of a strange hypothetical question, this one. All right. You have been sentenced to death, and you get to have your final meal. What would it be if the choices were only Final Fantasy 14 meals? Oh man, definitely not buttons in a blanket. I'm sick of those friggin' things. That's basically just stuffed cabbage. Oh man, Mrhappy omelets. It'd probably be one of the desserts, to be honest. I'm trying to think of like a pineapple Pons cake or one of the steaks, like a dodo steak with gravy and a side of mashed potato. Something like that. Yeah, I'll go with that. I'll go with the dodo steak. No, you know what? I'll go with the behemoth steak, which isn't a Final Fantasy 14 food, but it'll maybe one day. Behemoth steak with a side of mashed potatoes, and for dessert, I want some pineapple Pons cake. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, repost from week 34. Could you please give a little background on the Dravanian Ishgardian War that is being explored in patch 2.55 and into Heavensward? I never played 1.0 and started with A Realm Reborn. I've tried to watch and understand all the cutscenes, and I've watched them multiple times, but I feel like since I didn't play 1.0, I'm missing out on a lot of things. Let me tell you, we don't know anything about this war. We only know what we've been getting told in A Realm Reborn, pretty much. We know that the Ishgardians did something to piss off the Dravanians 1,000 years ago. It probably has something to do with them, you know, hurting a dragon or something. The thing is, we don't know. Shiva is probably our closest thing. Like, the fact that Iceheart is so heavily invested in the Dravanian side of the war, and that she embodies Shiva, somebody who was, you know, sentenced to death for having sex with a dragon. It's like, you have to think that something in that story is the cause of the war. But that's the whole point of the expansion. We're going to find out the origins of the war. We're going to find out why the Dravanians are so hell-bent on this, why the Ishgardians are so hell-bent on this war. That's what we're going to find out. Unfortunately, that's all I can tell you. Alright, so this next question is actually, like, really sad. I read the whole thing because it was pretty long before I decided to answer it, but I'm going to do this guy a respect, and I'm going to answer his question. Hey, Mr. Happy. Huge fan, long-time viewer. I have a question for Mondays with Mr. Happy, week 35. I've been playing A Realm Reborn for quite some time now, having started with patch 2.0. My girlfriend at the time and I started the game together and poured hours into it, pledging to take on the Binding Coils of Bahamut together. Long story short, she ended up passing away before either of us could complete Turn 5. My question is if I should even bother with Turn 5 before Heavensward comes out. I am an average item level 125 monk, and since I'm wondering if Turn 5 and the Binding Coils are even worth it. I mean, you have two routes for this, the way that I look at it. You can either do it for her. You pledged that you would you know, do it with her, but you could also do it for her, in her memory. Like, you said, we are going to do it, and then you're going to do it for her. Or, because you promised you would do it with her, and she's now passed away, my deepest condolences, just don't do it. I'm not even concerned about your item level. I'm not even concerned about if you should do it for practice for Alexander or something like that. But in respect for her, you can either do it for her, or you can not do it because you promised you would do it with her, and because she's no longer with you, you keep that promise that, you know, you don't do it without her. Those are my two real ways. I'm probably gonna have to take a break after this one before the next question. Those are my two pieces of advice for you. All right, so we're back after that one. Let's get back on track after that last question. Hello, Mr. Happy. First, thank you for all the videos and work you do. Thank you, man. It's appreciated. Two questions for week 35, one serious and one fun. One, how do you think the leveling experience will change once Heavensward hits? As it is, once you hit level 50, leveling stops. But when we get the level cap increase, will the leveling continue through 2.0 to 2.55 story, or will it stop and then resume once you hit the Ishgard area? I've been wondering that myself, because what do you do? I hope you get experience points for the story now from 2.0 to 2.55, because if you don't, that's a slap in the face, man. Hey, I just bought this expansion. Hey, I just finished the story. Hey, I'm level 50. I gotta do 2 years worth of old content before I can do the expansion? No, hell no. I don't want to do that. I want to go fight dragons and see all this new stuff. It's kind of lame that locks you away from Ishgard is the main story. I'm hoping they make it worth it for new players to do it in terms of experience points, guild rewards, all that stuff. And your second question, do you and your free company do fun stuff such as All White Mage Rage and such as this for the ha-has? I used to do it a little bit more. We kind of just we're business, you know. We log on because a lot of us like to play other games. Like I have quite a few members on my static that love Dota 2. I myself like to play some single-player RPGs. Like I'm going back. I streamed Final Fantasy 7. I took some time for Bloodborne. Maybe even I'll take some time for Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin after I get back from LA. But no, we really like, we value our time, and we love games, and we love playing a variety of games. So as much as we think those ideas are fun, we don't really pursue them that much because we have so many other games that we want to get to and enjoy while still enjoying Final Fantasy 14 that we prefer to put our priorities in that. Next question. Hey, Happy, I know how you feel about long questions, so I have an easy one for you. Coke or Pepsi? I don't like soda. So, water? How about beer? We'll go with beer. I'll take a Corona. Next one. My friends are killing each other over this. How are you supposed to pronounce circus? The achievement says life is a circus, so if it wasn't pronounced circus, you know where I'm going with this, right? Circus. Next question. Hey, Hap. So, question for the upcoming week with Ishgard being as racist. All right. Racist, dragonist. I don't know. That's what it says. Against Dravanians, do you think that after changing to an Aurora that the people of Ishgard will act differently? I very much do so. If they look at you like, you look like a dragon, but I accept you for who you are, I'd be like, this guy is evil. This guy is definitely not from Ishgard. He doesn't belong here. I suspect him of being the ultimate villain of the entire game. Yeah. It's not going to be good. And Yagiri also, I think she will absolutely be mistreated. Next question. Yo, what the haps, Hap? I don't know, to be honest. Question about your Twitch channel. I love your streams, but due to my work schedule, I can only watch the streams after you upload it to YouTube. Is there a way to watch your streams at a later date? If you go to my Twitch channel and you go to the profile and you go to past broadcast, you can watch everything. I think they're there for either 2 weeks or 30 days. I don't remember. But yeah. Excuse me, go to past broadcasts and they'll all be there. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy. Happy Monday. Happy Monday to you too. What are your speculations on the body part specific attacks mentioned for machinists? That's actually something that machinists had in tactics. That was their whole thing. They could shoot the arm to, you know, disable them from attacking or to pacify them. Shoot them in the leg to slow their movement speed. Shoot them in the head to blind them. That was their kind of their whole thing in tactics. And I think that you're saying, do you think it's going to be a targeting nightmare? No, I don't think they're literally going to say, hey, for a machinist, you're able to target all the different body parts. So you have like 6 different targets as opposed to just having the one main boss. I think it is going to be more of, you have a shot, and that shot does different things depending on where you're standing in relation to the boss. In front of the boss does a certain thing. The flank of the boss does a certain thing. The rear of the boss does a certain thing. If not, they're just literally name the ability, hey, this is the shot, like arm shot, deals additional damage from the flank. I don't see them doing that because they say Machinist seems kind of like the Black Mage version of Bard where they want to stay in one place and just constantly unload damage until they're forced to move to dodge attacks. But, yeah, if I had to imagine that, I'd have to imagine it'd be something, it'd be positional related. Just not so much positional related like Monk where you're constantly moving. It's like you move occasionally to get these attacks off, but not very often. Next question. Hey Haps, Fox here. Been watching your videos for a while and finally felt the need to make an account and ask away. Appreciate all the time you take making the videos, to make videos, bro Sidon. Thank you for telling me how to pronounce it. I can never mind. I've been having this itching feeling about Stone Skin 2 and really wonder why they didn't allow us to cast it in battle. Regardless of how Sucker functioned to worry about White Mage ascending to Godhood, it's still 532 frickin' mana and without Swift Cast, a 5-minute cast. Okay, a bit of an exaggeration, but the big reason is a lot of fights, there are parts of the fight where you go, wow, I wish I could just Stone Skin everyone here. But if I want to do that, I got to start doing it really far ahead of time. That used to be a big thing in turn 9, especially in the Golem phase. When you were preparing for Mega Flares, or even when you were preparing for the second set of Meteor Drops, the White Mage has to stop healing, and they have to go and they have to cast all the individual Stone Skins if you want to take that route. That was very common back when it was brand new content. Now imagine if Stone Skin 2 was just like, alright guys, I'm just going to cast Stone Skin 2. You would save Swiftcast for that, to be honest. You would just use Swiftcast on that. You wouldn't save it for Raze, because Raze, yeah, it has a long cast time as well, but if anything, it would just be like, it takes away an element of skill for the White Mage, knowing when to do mitigations that are more important. And besides, it's OP in battle. I mean, that is the bottom line. No matter how long it takes to cast, unless it costed all of your MP pool, it would just be so OP for only 532 mana. Now, my only question is, if you can't cast it in battle, why giving it a mana? Why give it a mana cost? That's my personal thing. If it's literally just supposed to be a prep for battle, why does it have an MP cost in the first place? That's my bigger thing. But yeah, it would be OP. This is the bottom line. Next question. Hey, Happy. Hope you're doing good. I am, sir. I wanted to know, or ma'am, I wanted to know what little changes SC could add to the game that would be really happy to see. Your example is I'd really like to be able to remove my chocobo from a party while in town or residential district. You know, I kind of like, as long as they make good raid fights, I just whatever. They want to fix an issue for me? Go right ahead. The only one I can really think of is join the duty finder while I have my chocobo out. That's still the only thing I want, and we're still not getting it. It's apparently a really technically hard thing to do, and it's very unfortunate. But that's like the only thing I could think of. As long as they just make good raids, like, I'm good, man. I'm good. All right, so the video is running a little late, and it's really late for me right now, so I'm getting kind of tired. So I'm actually going to take a couple more questions, a few more questions off of the remaining like sets of questions. I really recommend that you guys try to limit to one question and kind of narrow them down a little bit, because that way I can answer more questions for more of my viewers. So I'm just going to answer a few more. I'm not going to answer both the questions because a lot of people ask multiple ones. Just going to try and get a few more out. Anyway, this person asked 2 questions. I'm going to take the first one. Would you like to see more seasonal events based on previous Final Fantasy or Square Enix titles? And if so, which ones? I personally love to see a remake of the Final Fantasy VI Dream Oath Opera at the Gold Saucer, complete with the first act interruption, or a portal in time leading to the Chrono Trigger battle. That's the thing. That's not a seasonal event. That's a collaboration event. That's like the kind of thing that they did with Lightning. A seasonal event that just digs into an old Final Fantasy or Square Enix title, like something that's like every year, because a seasonal event is something that's in some way, shape, or form going to happen every year. That digging into old Final Fantasy titles and Square Enix titles, for me, for those kind of things, is like, you see how like not elaborate, like, yeah, they redesigned the zones, but the seasonal events aren't really that big of a deal. And I can imagine that they're just there because they're easy to crank out. They're kind of easy to develop. They can reuse certain assets in order to make it. So I don't want to see them give that kind of treatment to old Square Enix and Final Fantasy titles. Like, I want to see them to be nice, elaborate events with good explanations and stories, not these weak-ass events that I could care less about. I don't know why I'm answering this. So these are really short ones, so I'll answer 2 of the 3. Number 1, $10,000 or a spot on TSM for the entire summer season. I want TSM to win. Why would I want a spot on their team? Give me $10,000. I'll put it into student loans. And the other one is, do you prefer tells being shut off during duties, or would you prefer if it was instead merely an option that we could shut them off at any time? I prefer it was an option. It's so annoying to be in the middle of a conversation. You have to be like, be right back, dungeon, and all of a sudden it's like the duty finder, and it's a 50-minute dungeon. It's like, well, that conversation's pretty much done. That's not going to continue after this is done. I would prefer to have an option. Next one, question for week 36. Let's see, we got 2 of them. I am going to take 2. With the new job starting at 30, how do you suppose they will start them off with abilities? This seems like it's going to be weird. They're going to start with a crap ton of abilities. That's the way I imagine them doing it. However many abilities a class usually obtains from 1 to 30, and however many traits, I imagine that they will have that many abilities. I mean, it sounds weird, but I can't imagine them doing it any other way. And the final question for this week, another person asked 2 questions. I'm going to answer the second one. When asked about Final Fantasy XIV playstyles, you always say you like playing because it makes you happy. And imagine progression for current tier ended. You aren't always thinking about how to get the best gear, instead playing for what makes you happy. My question is why? I do the same thing as you, but I'm trying to formulate an explanation as to why we do it, besides we like it more. As I think that that little thing is one of the aspects that keeps me playing, even when progression seems slow, and it has helped me socialize a lot more in the game. It's just in our psyche. Like, that's our preferred way of playing. That's all it really comes down to. It's not something you need to have well, why do you like doing it? Because that's the kind of person I am. You know, I shouldn't have to explain myself. I'm saying this as if I was saying this to, like, somebody who asked me, like, why do you like it? Why? What's the point? It's like, I'm not allowed to be as a person. That's like asking someone, why do you like baseball? All they do is swing a bat and catch balls. Like, it's like the same thing. It's like, oh, why do you even like that sport? That sport sucks. It's like, I'm just like, dude, I just like it. It entertains me. It's interesting to me. It's not interesting to you. It's not your thing. It's not your thing then. I'm not going to judge you for that unless you keep judging me for this, in which case I'll be like, well, I mean, why are you a royal prick? I'm not saying this to you. I think you know that. I'm using examples, but yeah, that's it. I don't need an explanation. That's just who I am. But anyway, thank you everyone for your questions. Thank you so much. Be sure to ask questions for next week. There's a lot of questions in the dream forums. I'm really trying to stress, guys, try to keep the questions short. Try to, not necessarily the answer to be short, but just the question short, so there's not so much to read and post on the screen whenever I have to copy a question. It just makes it so I can go through these things so much more efficiently without having to pick and choose, and it's fair. It's more fair to everyone. I really would appreciate if you could do that. Also, on the Dream forums, I'd like to highlight a post that you guys might have a little bit of fun with. I've seen these posts on the official forums and on Reddit before, but I might have a little bit more fun doing it in the Dream forums as well. So it's a post your character thread. You just take your favorite pictures of your character, you post them on the thread, and you share it with everybody else so people can see the hard work that you put into designing your own individual character. I'll put a link to that in the description of the video below. Again, thank you everyone for watching. Be sure to ask your questions for next week on the Dream Network forums on the official thread. That's also in the description of the video below. But anyway, I'm tired. I'm going to edit this video. I'm going to get to sleep. I'll see everybody soon. Remember, flying out, won't be stream on Tuesday, gonna be in LA, and State of the Realm this week is going to be on Wednesday with special guest host Mrhappy. That's right, we don't hate each other, but the gloves are coming off on this one. But anyway, I'll see you guys then, and until then, take care.